Have you ever wondered why two people with the same talent, the same opportunities, and the same starting point end up living completely different lives? Why one rises, one stalls, and one disappears into what could have been? Today we're going to uncover the strange, quiet variable that shapes all of it, and you've probably ignored it for years. Let's make something clear right away. Your life path isn't shaped by the big, dramatic events you expect, not the dream job, not the breakup, not even the moments you thought changed everything. Those are surface-level changes. The real shift happens much earlier, at the level of a tiny variable hiding inside your daily choices. And here's the uncomfortable truth. You think you're in control? But this variable steers your life way more than you realize. Most people never notice it, but once you see it, you can rewrite your entire future. So let's break it down, step by step. Imagine your life as a long path stretching far into the future. Every day you're making small decisions, what to do first, what to ignore, what to chase, what to run from. You assume these choices add up little by little, like stacking blocks. But that's not how it works. Your life path doesn't change gradually, it bends. It shifts direction based on tiny but repeated choices. Choices driven by one quiet variable. Your default response. I'm not talking about your personality, your identity, or some deep psychological core. I mean the automatic reaction you fall into when you're not thinking deeply. Everybody has one. Some people automatically avoid discomfort. Some chase excitement. Some freeze. Some delay. Some overthink. Some dive in without thinking at all. This tiny default, this invisible autopilot, controls more of your life than motivation ever will. Let's take two imaginary people. Same age, same job, same intelligence, same goals. They both want to get in shape. Person A's default response to difficulty is, I'll do it later. Person B's default response to difficulty is, I'll try for 5 minutes. Day 1? Barely different. Day 10? Still not much. Day 100? The gap is starting to show. Day 1000? They look like two people, living in completely different realities. Here's the twist. Person B wasn't more motivated. They weren't stronger. They just had a different default reaction to discomfort. One tiny variable. Two completely different life paths. Now you might think, okay, but I can just set better goals. No, goals don't matter if your automatic responses kill them before they start. Think of your brain like a thermostat. You set the temperature, your goals. But the thermostat's default mode decides whether anything actually changes. If your default reaction is avoiding anything uncomfortable, it doesn't matter what goals you set. You'll snap back to the same spot every time. This is why people repeat the same year of life 10 times in a row thinking they're improving. They're not living 10 different years. They're living the same pattern on repeat. The variable never changed. So where does this default response come from? It's not destiny, fate, or personality. It's built from repeated micro-moments. How you reacted when things got hard as a kid. What you were rewarded for. What you were punished for. The habits you formed without realizing. The tiny decisions you made when nobody was watching. None of this feels dramatic in real time. But over years, it creates a single internal rule. When X happens, I react like Y. And that rule quietly dictates how your life unfolds. The scary part? This rule often stops updating after childhood. You become an adult with an outdated operating system. And then you wonder why your life feels stuck. Here's the real punchline. The variable that rewrites your life path isn't motivation. It isn't talent. It isn't intelligence. It's your automatic reaction to the small moments you think don't matter. Every time you react the same way, you reinforce the path you're already on. Every time you shift the reaction, even slightly, you bend the path into a new direction. This is why some people suddenly change their lives out of nowhere. It wasn't random. It wasn't luck. They changed the variable. They swapped one default response for another, and that tiny shift changed everything downstream. Most overnight success stories are just long chains of tiny default changes. So how do you change your life variable? Not with motivation, not with planning, not with positive thinking. You change it by interrupting the autopilot at the smallest possible level. Here's a simple method that actually works. Step 1, notice your current default. Do you run? Do you freeze? Do you delay? Do you overthink? Pick one situation you always respond to automatically, something tiny. Step 2, Replace it with a micro response, not a huge habit, not a big goal, just a slight shift. If your default is avoiding something uncomfortable, replace it with, I'll do this for 30 seconds. If your default is overthinking, replace it with, I'll act before I finish thinking. If your default is delaying, replace it with, I'll do the smallest piece right now. You're not trying to change the world, just the autopilot. Step 3, repeat until the new response becomes automatic. This is where life bends. Suddenly, new opportunities appear. Old problems disappear. Your future starts shifting because the variable has changed. Not dramatically, not loudly, quietly. But the long-term impact? Massive. Your life is not shaped by big decisions. It's shaped by the tiny unconscious reactions you make every day. That one variable, your default response, can keep you stuck in a loop. Or it can open doors you didn't even know existed. Once you change it, the whole path changes with it. Not immediately, not magically, but steadily and permanently. Because the future bends at the smallest angle, and that angle is determined by what you automatically do when nobody is paying attention. If this opened your eyes even a little, hit the like button. It helps the channel more than you think. Drop a comment telling me which default response you want to change. And of course, subscribe if you want more simple, science-driven explanations that can actually change your life. See you in the next one.